Crimewatch viewers have helped solve more than 30 major crimes in the last year. Here are 3 of the biggest. The suburban businessman who groomed a teenager for sex, then hired henchmen to stop her telling the truth. The animal liberation fanatics who dug up a body to get their way. And the prison officer rapist in line for the governor's job.
Now, a story that made news around the world, a gruesome crime, little heard of since Victorian times, body snatching.
I said, have you got a problem? And they said, yes, we're coming to kill you.
I don't give in to blackmailers. I said they're not going to blackmail me.
We're not monsters, we're just ordinary people doing a job that admittedly some people don't like, but it's legal, and until it's not legal, we'll carry on with it.
Just to dig up a human being, I mean, well, you can't talk about it because it's horrific.
You wouldn't treat an animal like that.
This is Newchurch in Staffordshire, known as Happy Valley. It's a gently winding vale along the county's eastern border. It's also home to Darley Oaks Farm.
We've always been a mixed farm, cows, beef, poultry, and if you're good at looking after animals and you've got the animals' welfare and interests at heart, then that's the most important thing.
For 30 years, the Halls had bred guinea pigs for medical research.
The animals will perform well if you look after them properly. We were producing the best guinea pigs in the country when we were actually forced out of business.
Local councillor Peter Clamp remembers the day life changed for the villagers of Newchurch.
It's a Sunday afternoon, and I remember this car pulling up with 4 people in it. They came across and I said, have you got a problem? And they said, yes, we're coming to kill you. One of them was dressed in a black cape and a scary mask, one of these scream masks. He said, we're going to condemn you all because you love the guinea pig farm up the road. And at that time, I was aware that there was a farm, but I wasn't aware that there were guinea pigs. The following week, they came back with more.
A group calling itself Save the Newchurch Guinea Pigs broke into Darley Oaks Farm. They filmed their midnight raid on camcorder.
We were probably picked out because we would be weaker than the bigger companies, and they would think that we were an easy target.
They stole 600 guinea pigs. A week after the raid, a large group of protesters gathered outside the farm.
People die every day as the result of drugs tested on animals. Animals
sold into the vivisection industry, where they're going to be mutilated and basically butchered to death for nothing more than profit.
I'm certain that all the people here today do not want to cause any violence to life.
Sometimes they came every day of the week, and sometimes it might have been 2 or 3 times on the same day. I mean, we had them camping out overnight as well at the bottom of the drive.
You can get everyone to keep moving that way. Kerry, calm yourself down. Kerry, calm yourself down and put your hands behind your back. You'll only make it worse. Put your arms behind your back. Put your arms behind your back, Kerry, now.
Piece of calm down. You pathetic. You're all pathetic.
God. Some people have.
Initially, the targeting was towards the whole family and their business, and as you referred to it, they almost became target hardened. And so then you began to see a change of focus of who was victimised. It became people who supplied, business associates, and it was almost this rolling progression that anybody was a potential victim, which is what made it so vicious.
One who felt the full force of their campaign was Rod Harvey. The protesters were determined to cut off essential supplies to Darley Oaks Farm.
We've come to speak to you about Newchurch Farm. We're giving you the chance to pull out before we start a big campaign of persistent regular demonstrations against you.
Shouting through the letterbox, calling us all sorts of animal killers, animal murderers. I only deliver fuel. I never harm an animal. It's frightening when there's so many of them, you don't know what they're capable of. We had to stop all friends and family visiting because we never knew when they were going to turn up. We never knew what they were going to come up with next.
Rod's wife Dot was also a target.
We used to have packages through the door with powdered substances in, abusive mail, invitations to our own funerals. The worst one was the paedophile one with regard to Rod.
We had a letter delivered next door saying that you're a paedophile. What are you on about? You're a convicted paedophile who preys on children that your wife procures while she runs and looks after the county youth darts. The police then, and I've got to give them every credit, issued a firm denial straight away.
Absolute disgrace! You are filth and we'll be back again and again and again.
There has been attempts to try to almost wrap what's been taking place in this cloak of morality, to give it some sort of noble cause. But when you actually look at what was taking place, any sense of morality had been lost.
You felt so sorry for these people being dragged in just because these people were so channeled into closing me down.
I personally won't rest until I know that all those sheds are knocked down and they're not going to be used again.
There was a profound effect on the village where I lived and surrounding areas. People started to get worried, the media started to arrive, and there was lots and lots of violence.
They targeted the gas, so we couldn't get gas for the turkeys. They targeted the tanker driver, so we couldn't get our milk collected, so we had to sell the dairy herd. It really just snowballed on, so really all we were left with at the end was the one thing that they had actually tried to close down, which was the guinea pigs.
That night that the brick came through the front door and hit me on the foot, the glass cut my hand, I thought, that's it. I've had enough, because me this time could be Dot the next time.
After 4 years of intimidation, Rod stopped delivering to Darley Oaks Farm. He was one of many businesses forced to sever all links with the Halls. The village was under attack. No one felt safe. The militants even buried their anger deep in the golf course where the Halls played. Then in October 2004, the prolonged and vicious campaign took an unexpected turn.
police came up to me in the afternoon and said, we've got some bad news for you. I said, oh, I'm used to that. He said, no, this is really bad news. And I said, oh, is everybody all right? I thought it was somebody had been injured or something. He said, no, everybody's all right, but I've got to tell you that your mother-in-law's grave's been dug down to.
The scene that I was greeted with was unbelievable. The grave where Mrs. Hammond had been buried had been completely dug out. The coffin itself had been damaged and smashed.
And Gladys's body had gone.
Just to dig up a human being, I mean, well, you can't talk about it because it's horrific. The thought that these evil people might go and do something as terrible as that, I mean, it's just beyond comprehension, really.
To desecrate lovely Gladys's grave, an absolute outrage. They call us scum, but I wonder if they really know the meaning of the word.
Everybody stood around the churchyard, and there must have been 200-300 people, all stood there in silence. You could only hear the birds singing. And I thought to myself, this is absolutely the lowest form of human indecent acts.
As a senior investigating officer, you're used to cause of serious crime taking place, but this is one that actually took you back because it was something you don't hear of and something that, abhorrent. The control over the protests at Darley Oaks was under the guise of a movement referred to as the Save the Newchurch Guinea Pigs. It became quite obvious that if any, something of this nature taking place, they had to have some involvement in it. A couple of months after Gladys's body was taken, we got some letters, the authors of which had an intimate knowledge of the crime.
These letters demanded the closure of the guinea pig business in return for Gladys Hammond's body.
It became obvious that it was furtherance of their blackmail to the halls, but to desecrate a grave, I mean, how can that be classed as protest? That's not a protest.
There were 4 main suspects known to be the ringleaders of the campaign: Kerry Whitburn, his girlfriend Josephine Mayo, John Smith and John Ablewhite. The day after Gladys's body was stolen, only the hardcore protesters turned up at Darley Oaks farm. Police filmed Whitburn and Mayo being asked to leave.
You mind not protesting today? Before the grave desecration, there were protests every Sunday, and those attracted between 30 and 50 people. After the desecration, that changed very dramatically. Numbers dropped significantly, down to, on some occasions, less than 6. But those people that did continue to come were, in the main, those that were involved in criminality.
They were so fixated on their cause as they continued to commit crime. They continued to send explosive devices, and they also continued to send letters around Gladys's body, the conditions that had to be met before she would be returned.
You don't give in easily to these sort of people, but at the end of the day, you do have to look at not what they were doing to me, but what they were doing to other people. And that's the thing that really I had no control over.
The theft of Gladys Hammond's body proved to be the final straw.
Farm breeding guinea pigs for medical research is forced to close by animal rights extremists. The family that run the farm in Staffordshire say they've had enough after 6 years of intimidation, including the theft of a grandmother's remains.
Everyone's absolutely ecstatic that this place will be closing at the end of the year and that no more guinea pigs will be suffering inside the sheds.
The militants got what they wanted, but the Halls still didn't get Gladys back.
Now, a story that made news around the world, a gruesome crime.
In March, 6 months after Gladys's body had been stolen, the police made an appeal on Crimewatch.
You've got new information tonight. Tell us about it.
Yes, we've received some letters recently which in style and content are similar to previous letters we've received from animal rights extremists. However, what's extremely interesting about these letters is that the author seems to have an intimate knowledge of the crime, also claims to know the whereabouts of Gladys. There was a number of objectives that we wanted to achieve through the Crimewatch appeal. First one was to make a public acknowledgement that we'd had the letters, and also of interest our main suspects, what their reaction would be.
Straight after the programme, Ablewhite, Smith and Whitburn drove to Brackenhurst Woods, a short distance from Newchurch, where Gladys Hammond had been buried.
Their car was searched. What they had on them was a collapsible spade, balaclava, a change of clothing, and a number of mobile phones that were linked to subsequent criminality.
The 3 men were arrested. After being interviewed, they were released on bail. The police then got another set of letters.
What it was endeavouring to do to verify that they actually had Gladys's body, that they'd placed 1/6 of her in a plastic container somewhere within Brackenhurst Woods, and that they would provide GPS coordinates.
These map references never came. Nearly 100 officers searched the 90-acre wood. The body wasn't found. Last September, Whitburn, Mayo, Ablewhite and Smith were arrested and charged with conspiracy to blackmail.
I felt that they were just out-and-out criminals that weren't really animal rights people. They just wanted to make people's lives hell, and they did that through the animal rights movement because they thought that if it got to court, protecting animals is going to look a lot better than just being an out-and-out hooligan.
In May, Josephine Mayo was jailed for 4 years. John Ablewhite, John Smith and Kerry Whitburn each got 12 years.
I believe that they knew that they were going to get caught. The desecration was their bargaining stick, and I believe that to this day that they tried to bargain with the police for a more lenient sentence.
John Smith was the one who finally revealed where Gladys Hammond's body had been hidden. The family held a second funeral.
At the time I was saying they're worse than animals. I mean, you wouldn't treat an animal like that.
The authorities are never going to stop us. As long as there's animal abuse, there's going to be people out there who aren't willing to tolerate it, who won't stand idly by while animals are tortured or murdered.